Good morning, campers. I hope all is well. As you can see, we are on the next part of our turquoise to bright pink dye experiment. Well, fade set, whatever you want to call it. Mixing turquoise and bright pink. I think that's the right name. So if you paid attention in the last video, you will know that I said I was going to put these into the microwave to heat set them. But I changed my mind. That's why we have a mind, so that we can change it. And for some other reason, my previous jars never fitted into this pot. They were too high. So I abandoned that and I just went onto the microwave. And then I forgot actually about the fact that I have this huge big pot. And since I bought these new jars, they fit perfectly. I could actually get way more in here. So I'm quite excited about that discovery. So besides the dye experiment, the experiment of finding out that my jars fit into this pot is fantastic. So they were heated up to 85 degrees yesterday using my oven thermometer. I checked that out. I left them in the pot overnight to cool, and they are still on about 30 degrees, which is not too bad. It's safe to remove them. So we're going to start from right to left as we dyed them. So this was the one that had the most blue and the least pink. These skeins were folded up in here, so I'm just going to squeeze out most of the liquid and sort them out in the rinsing. Isn't that absolutely a gorgeous blue? And I love actually where the dye didn't take and it's created this resist. Almost looks like the sky. Okay, so I mustn't mix them up. So that was number one. Let's get rid of that. Get the cloth handy. Remember, as I said, they are sticky because of the citric acid. So this is number two. So as we move on, we're getting less blue and more pink. And this one is number three. Let's put it this way. And number four. So we're getting more and more bright pink and less turquoise. I'm actually loving the mix, even though it's maybe not completely what we were going for. As I said, when one is experimenting, there are no right and wrongs. There's only discovery. And the other nice thing about mixing color like this is that it can break. And what breaking means is when there are more than two pigments in the dye mix, they will strike to the yarn at different rates. So they will color the yarn differently. Oh, this is just fantastic. Okay, that is number five. Let's put that on top. Okay, so I'm going to rinse those off. Then I'm going to wash them. And then I'm going to put them on the towel. And then I will bring you back to have a look at the final result. Alrighty, there we go. What a nice fade set that has created. So let me just quickly run through one or two things. That is from number 1 until number 5. So this one had the most turquoise and the least pink. And as we fade in this direction, we've got the most pink and the least turquoise. I think that's quite apparent. You can see that clearly. The other thing is how I had the skeins arranged in the dye in the jars. So let me just quickly pick this one up and then I will demonstrate what I mean. So I had them folded in half like this and then dunked down into the jar. So this part was at the bottom of the jar. Remember, we had these white bits that were right at the bottom of the jar. And then this part in my hand was at the top of the jar. So that's how they were arranged in the jars. Let's just get this one packed down again. So you can see here where you see the white bits is where they were at the bottom of the jar. So these sides were at the bottom and the middles were all at the top, where I chucked the dye in. What one can also see from that is, remember, as I said, the pink and the blue will strike at different rates. So as I poured the dye in at the top and it soaked down through the layers of the yarn, it struck at different rates, which I think actually gave a gorgeous ombre effect here, a speckling effect. I don't know what the correct term is. It's just really pretty, I think. In terms of a pure mix, if I wanted to actually do this experiment more scientifically, in inverted commas, I would have first added the dye to the jar and then added the yarn to the jar. And I would have also used a lot less yarn because the yarn took up the most of the volume of the jar. So if I divided these are all 100 grams. If I divided them all into 20 grams and put them in, we would have had a more even cover of color. Although, having said all of that, I do love the hues and the tones and everything. It does give me an idea of how to mix these two colors going forward. So I'm just going to take you off the stand and we can look at it a little bit closer. So let's zoom in a little bit. Gosh, Yana, you does look really nice. So we're going from the most turquoise and the least pink. So it just turned the turquoise into this blue. Then we're moving into a little bit less turquoise, a little bit more pink. We can start to actually see the pinks show up and the blues turning a little bit more royal. And then we're going almost now into the purples, as you can see here. Still my camera's having a difficulty with these colors. As you see, it keeps jumping up and down. And then we're having even more pink and even less blue. And then this one right here on the end has the most pink and the least blue. Almost a little bit of a lavender there. So yeah, there we go. I think that is a really nice ombre set. I might actually keep this for myself and weave something with it when my loom arrives one day. But other than that, I think it's really nice, and I hope that you enjoy it and you have yourself a fantastic day, and we'll check in on the next experiment. That's it. Cheers, bye.